All right. Hey, hello. I am so excited to interview today Clint and Amber Turner, superstar directors with Cincy. And I asked them today to come on because, I've had a lot of consultants, a lot of people message me about not having a super supportive spouse when they start a business. And that is super common. There are some spouses that are supportive from the get-go, but there are a lot of spouses that are not supportive. And I just thought, I asked for a volunteer. They were like, hey, we'll do it. This is great. And so I'm excited. So do you guys want to introduce yourself really quick? Tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Yeah, sure. So, like Carol said, my name is Amber Turner. This is my husband, Clint. We have been in Cincy for almost 12 years now. I used to be an elementary teacher and I joined just for something fun to do right after our second daughter was born. So, our first daughter was 3 years old and our second was 8 weeks old. She was a newborn. And I joined in August, which, for those of you who are teachers or no teachers, that's a pretty crazy month because the new school year was starting. So he wasn't on board.
Yeah.
He actually said, please don't take on one more thing. And then, we'll kind of get into more of it from there. But it has been the biggest blessing. I worked Cincy for 6 years while also teaching. And then after that 6 year mark is when we realized we had the potential to make a full-time income with this and me not teach anymore. So I have not taught now for 6 years and my business just continues to grow. And obviously he's on board now.
Yes, on board quite a bit. I had my reservations in the beginning. And again, she said the main reason why in the very beginning was she had 10,000 things on her plate. And I'm not the type of husband that's going to be like, listen, no, you're not going to do this. I'm never going to tell her no. But I was telling her that, listen, you already have all these things on your plate. Do you really want to add something else? I don't necessarily agree with you, but go for it. And then she did. So once she started making some money, I don't even think it really changed after that point. It took a little while for me to catch on.
Yeah, it took a little while, but going back to just kind of who we are, we've been married for 20 years now.
Yeah.
We're parents to now a teenager and a tweenager. She's almost more of a teenager than our oldest one is. And he still works full time, but we're quickly heading towards getting him away from that. And just both of us working for ourselves, working from home on our terms, and being able to do all of the things, especially as we approach empty nesting.
Yeah. So when it got really hard for
Right.
me,
Oh my gosh.
oh yeah, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Like, how did you feel when Amber started her business? Is that, I know that there's probably an entry point, right? When she started her business, you felt a certain way. And then there usually comes a culmination, like a tipping point or whatever. But if you want to talk about that, we would love to hear that.
Definitely. We've gone through many changes. The first one was whenever she starting to do some significant business and it started requiring more of her time. She was working full time. And all of a sudden now I'm having to step up and I'm having to cook and clean a lot more because she's needing to catch up with her work.
Well, because I was teaching all day. So
Yeah.
I would get up some mornings at 4, 5 o'clock in the morning and work Cincy before I went and taught. And then by the time I got home, there were a million messages to catch up on, a million things to do. And so I would disappear and catch up on my Cincy work. And someone had to pick up the slack in the evenings to still get dinner, bath, and bedtime done.
Yeah. And it was at that point I really started to kind of resent everything that was going on. I was glad that she was getting some success and everything, but it was putting a lot more pressure on us as a family and on our marriage. And, at the time, she wasn't making a whole lot of money at the time, but it was enough for her to take the money that she was making and go shopping and doing a lot of these extra things that we would typically maybe not do as often because we're on a strict budget. But now she had the freedom to do it. And I'm like, wait a minute, but like, I'm having to work harder now too. And it's like, it's not benefiting me. I was really having a hard time. So just to get to the point, she started paying me. She started paying me a portion of her, of what she was making.
Oh.
And that would fluctuate from month to month. Some months, at the beginning, it might only have been like $10, but I always tell everybody that was my beer money. That was money I could go spend on whatever I wanted to do. And then the
Sure,
next month,
sure.
it may be higher.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and everything kind of came to a tipping point.
Do you feel like that
you
was
know,
a tipping point for you?
For sure. So he
Yeah.
came to me one time and
Oh,
said,
go ahead.
"I don't care." And we had earned a couple of trips at this point, a couple of the incentive trips. He said, "I don't care about the trips. I don't care about the money. I just want you back." And it hit hard. It was very emotional for me. I was angry, and then I was sad. But then I came to, okay, we can fix this, right? We can fix this. And so we got emotions out of the way. Me and him sat down, and we did divvy up, like he said. The pay. And so we decided, 10% would go to him, 10% would go to our oldest daughter's savings account, 10% to our youngest. And like we just divvied it all up. And then we also set office hours. And that was a huge turning point in our business. So the office hours, of course, helped. Him having beer money and whatever else, of course, helped. But it went deeper than that, because then some months his 10% would be more, and some months his 10% would be less, because our commissions are a roller coaster, So then Clint started getting more involved in the business and wanting to know why. Why was it more? Why was it less? What are you doing? What's going on? And that's when we really started working together on this.
And yeah, at that point, we did start to work together a lot more. And I started to understand more of the business side of it. On top of that, leading into the very first incentive trip that she earned, I went into this not knowing what to expect with Cincy. I wasn't familiar with Cincy, just other than from what I've seen through her. And I was nervous about the type of man I was going to be around. I mean, Cincy is kind of a feminine product. Not feminine product. That's not the right thing to say, but it's not a very masculine product. So there's a lot of guys who are uncomfortable talking about Cincy, even associating themselves with Cincy, because they feel like they're I don't just it's uncomfortable if you're not used to it. But then all of a sudden I was surrounded by really great men, great couples who were working together, and they were like seriously successful. I mean, running full time, like making great incomes doing this full time. And I'm realizing these people are approaching it as a business. They're not approaching it like, oh, hey, my wife sells these candles, they really were serious about it. And,
Right.
the first guy I became friends with through Cincy, he was a Marine. He was a hardcore Marine, and he was a guy's guy, and I'm realizing that, no, okay, these people are approaching it as something very serious. It doesn't matter what you're selling. It doesn't matter. If it's a business, it's a business, and it's going to make you money. It's going to better your life. So that's the approach we took from that point on.
Yeah. That's great. And so what do you do to support Amber now? Like, what do you think, or Amber, if you want to say, like, what is Clint's biggest help to you in the business now?
Wow.
Can I answer that?
Oh, yeah, you sure can.
Absolutely, whatever she needs. Because
you go first.
I don't sell Cincy. She does, but I support her, and we both approach it with the business aspect. She's the face. She's more of the face, and she's the one who communicates with most of the customers. I'm a structure for her to support her. And so whatever that is, whether that's take up the slack at home, or if that's breaking down the boxes, breaking down an order, or anything that's going to help her and give her more time, that's my role.
Yeah. And so I would say my answer to that, especially now that I'm Cincy full time. So, I can do dinner and all of that now. Plus the girls are older, so that they don't need me as much. I'm back in those capacities, which has been one of the biggest blessings of doing Cincy full time. But the biggest way that he helps me, honestly, is believing in the business model, believing in the company, and believing in me. He hates when he has to miss a Cincy event. He hates when he can't go to convention. There has been one incentive trip he couldn't get off work, so I took my mom instead. He hated missing that. And it's not just because of his love for travel. It's because of getting in with the culture of the company, because he is still in corporate America, which is quite different from the Cincy culture. And just me knowing how much A, he believes in it, and B, that he sees how different it is, gives me enough fuel to push through the hard times, the months when the numbers are low or emotions are high. Knowing that he believes in it and believes in me is really everything I need.
Good answer.
He helps me a lot too. He does a lot of hands-on work, like you said, with bringing in the boxes, unboxing, helping with deliveries, stuff like that.
Yep.
Well, and I find spouses are such a huge supportive role. Like some do work the business together, do trainings and stuff. And then one of the spouses generally is better at being the face and one of the spouses is better at being a supportive role. And so it kind of sounds like that's your guys' role. But so tell me, what's your best advice to spouses who aren't supportive? What do you feel like as a spouse whose wife is doing this business, or well, I have to be all inclusive, I guess. So, as a spouse. So let's just say, what's your best advice for how can they best support the consultant, the person that's actually doing the business? Or what's your best advice for the consultant, like to have a conversation? Because I think that's the hardest part, right? Is to actually have a conversation with your spouse to say, this is really important to me. And, like, what would help maybe someone who's in that situation, right? What do you think?
I think the person needs to kind of do some self-examining of what they believe and how they view their spouse. Because if there's a negative view,
Okay.
thinking that this is just some silly thing, that they're in a phase, or maybe do you not believe in your spouse to think they just can't do it? I think the person needs to self-examine, like, okay, what am I thinking, and why do I, like, I know even if I say I support this, but deep down, maybe I really don't. You need to ask yourself, like, why, and get down to the root of the issue. Is it because you don't believe in your spouse, or you maybe might be unsure with the company? And you need to kind of approach those things, and just like you would at any aspect of life, you need to do some self-examination and ask yourself why you feel a certain way. But 90% of the time when I talk to spouses, it's an uncomfortableness, again, with a non-masculine product. And just like I have a group, a texting group of a bunch of guys. And whenever we first joined my name with hers on the Scentsy business, they gave me such a hard time.
Well, I had posted a picture of our new car decal on Facebook, and it said Amber and Clint Turner, and one of them took that photo off of Facebook and sent it in the group text, and I don't even remember what they said, but Clint's reply was great. You remember what he said?
Well, I said, well, hey, look, here's a picture of me in the Bahamas.
For free.
For a free vacation. Here's a picture of us on a cruise. And it's
Right.
sharing all
Throwing
these
it right
pictures.
back.
And
Yeah.
and right,
Does your wife do this for you? Yeah. Like, you show me.
And like that day was fun, and just show them like
show me.
They're asking me, Clint, are you selling Scentsy now? I'm like, I've been selling Scentsy.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm 100% on this. She's making money, and in fact, she's making more money.
I've been here, man.
Than I am now.
Yeah. Well, and I will say too, when I was still teaching,
yeah.
When I was still teaching, and since he started really growing, he made more deliveries than I did, because he had the time during his day. He had, like, I was stuck in a classroom 7:30 to 4. I couldn't leave. He could leave from his job, run him on his lunch break or whatever. And so he did. He was selling Scentsy. He was very hands-on. But I think the key to making it work in a relationship is for it not to just be the consultant's thing. Like it's a family thing. It's a couple's thing. You know, when we started when we first started, we were making $30 to $100 a month, our first few months. That's what I tell people. And so it was enough, you know, maybe to go out to eat, whereas we might not have that money in our family budget. And we would tell the girls, we're paying for dinner with mommy's Scentsy card. You know, because I think transparency and just putting everything out there is key. And so now that we've we are full time and we've done this for so long. He's in on everything. I share with him all of the numbers, all of my expenses, all of the travel expenses, how much of my business comes from these kinds of orders and those kinds of orders. And really, really just being on the same page and breaking down that barrier of this is my thing has been everything.
Yeah. And on top of that, another issue I've run into with some spouses, the more the spouse makes,
the harder it
is
is
for them
for
to
usually him to accept her now making money. It's hard for him.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
basically it's a
an
lack
ego
of
thing.
it's a lack of
It's
confidence.
definitely
like,
a
listen,
reverse role. Yeah.
yeah. It's and so you have to, like I said, you need to always have them examine themselves. Like, okay, like, but you still can't support your spouse, even though okay, you're making a lot of money. Great for you. I'm proud of you. Like, good job. But can you still not support your spouse? It doesn't matter what she's doing. Like, you need to be there for your spouse.
You shouldn't
like,
squish him.
You shouldn't squish because it's just what you do. It's your spouse. But
Right.
a lot of times
That's right.
it's a lack of confidence. It's a lack of confidence whenever you boil it down. And if it's a lack of confidence, you could fix that. I mean,
check yourself.
Yeah.
You can. Yeah. And it's unconventional, really. I mean, well, I believe in society it's becoming more and more acceptable for a woman to outmake, to be the breadwinner in a home. And the man, now we have mannies, we have stay-at-home dads, like there's a lot of shift, but when you have this dynamic, I mean, ultimately in the long run, we want freedom. We want freedom for our family, right? We want freedom to be able to set our own time schedule, to do what we want, to travel, financial freedom where we're debt free and we don't have issues. And I mean, in the grand scheme of things, who cares who makes it as long as you're making it, right? And so I think
it took a little while to get to that point. I think like it took us a while to figure out that like I wasn't going to make a teacher salary for the rest of my life, and that's okay. And this is what that looks like. Not that he ever had a problem with the money. I mean, he's not that kind of husband, but it was, all of a sudden this is different. And whoa, what do we do with it? Because neither of us were expecting it.
Yeah.
Neither of us were expecting it.
Very unexpected. One
That's
more
right.
thing I'd like to,
so what do you think was your biggest fight? Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh,
go ahead.
No. I'll go and answer your question.
No, you go ahead and I'll think about the biggest fight.
Okay.
Actually, I already know what it is.
So
I just want to know, what was your biggest fight or argument that you've had about the business?
Well, and we'll get on that. What I was going to say, another thing that a lot of spouses have an issue with.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are just being unsure about the whole multi-level marketing thing,
Mm-hmm.
and really not understanding what that is, and it being associated with a bunch of negative connotations from companies in the past. Once I got around
Yes, 100%.
Once I talked to Orville, once I got to know Chuck,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to know the hearts of these people and their business mind and the way they handle business and the way they handle culture of a company, there is so much that can be learned from these people, and they are so smart, and there's no shadiness with the company, and that's and me getting to know that helped me jump on board with, listen, this company is great, I'll support you, let's do it.
And so you consultants and spouses alike, you need to go to events. You're not going to catch the bigger picture vision unless you are at an in-person event. His first incentive trip is where everything turned around.
Yep.
My first convention, SFR, was where everything turned around.
Yep. Biggest fight.
Do you want to go?
Yeah.
No, go for it.
Well, we've already talked about it, Clint. I think our biggest fight was that time you came to me and you literally said, I don't care about the money. I don't care about the trips. I just want you back.
Yep. We had to make a change. She was working full time, and she was working full time out of the house, working full time in the house.
Mm-hmm. I was working 2 jobs.
And we did not have her. And it was one of those things that it was getting so much to a head, like one thing had to go. And at that point, I did not care what went. I didn't care if they both went at that point. Like, I was just, we needed a healthy relationship again.
Our family needed to be healthy again. Our girls were still real little, and I did not have any boundaries. I would work Cincy every second. I loved my girls and I would fight to have time with them and Clint, but I didn't fight hard enough because my phone dinged and I would answer it. And now I realize that is not necessary and it is not healthy. So when we had that big fight, like I said, it wasn't until the next day when emotions calmed down and I told him, because he saw Cincy as stressing me because he didn't see me during the workday teaching, but he saw me at home in the mornings, evenings, and weekends working Cincy, and it stressing me. So his thought process was, something's got to go. Cincy's the thing stressing her. We need to let it go.
I saw it as the variable. I saw Cincy as being the variable, and the variable can be cut.
He didn't see, and he told me later, he didn't see and realize that Cincy was the thing that brought me joy. Yeah. It was the thing that made me like develop this sense of self and like belief and empowerment that I never felt before, and that I certainly didn't feel in a classroom filled with elementary kids. And I got such a rush off of the success and the numbers climbing and the incentives and the promotions and the commission and stuff like that. He didn't see it that way. So once, like I said, emotions calmed down, the next day we talked about it. We hashed out that 2-step plan with splitting up commission and establishing office hours. And it was a million times better after that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that, you got to have the big fights to be able to resolve the issues that are eating at you that you just don't want to talk about.
You can't let it break you, though. You have to let it make you. And we really did choose to let it make us. And I'm so glad because Carol, I remember. So Carol is also my
I love that.
I remember telling Clint, I was like, fine, I'll just text Carol and tell her after this month I'm out. Like, that's what I told him. Thank goodness that didn't happen.
That's so funny. Thank goodness.
Probably not.
I did come to your house and turn the notifications off on your phone, though. So I was like, we have to stop that. That has to go.
My messenger notifications are still turned off. And Carol did it, 3 years ago?
I was like, we don't need this.
And, but you got to set boundaries. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah. And
And would you say most spouses come from... Oh, you guys are so welcome. Seriously, it's not me, it's you. I mean, you guys are doing the work. So I just your supportive role. I'm just here as a supportive role. But I think, would you say most spouses come at this from a protective standpoint? So like when you said your biggest fight, you wanted to protect her, right? And protect her, get her joy back, get this kind of stuff. So I just think most spouses, if you are someone that is struggling with your spouse, I think most spouses come from this place of love, but we just don't understand that place. And it's never usually about the thing, it's always about something else, does that make sense? I mean, I feel 100%. Like most spouses just want...
Clint told me years ago that guys are fixers. They just want to fix the problem. Like, they just want to fix it just like that. And so that's what they do. And so a lot of times they come across as squishing what we see potential and value and joy in, and they just see it as the problem. And so let's get away from it and problem solved. And you have to have those hard conversations to realize that that's not the solution.
Man, this has been so good. Do you have any last thoughts, any final words that you want to say? Because this has been so good. I think people are going to really love this perspective and just listening to the two of you talk, because you really truly are an incredible couple.
So before I say this, I understand I'm maybe talking to men and women out there, not just the men, but what I'm about to say can go for anyone. You got to man up.
Woman up.
you got to man up, and I say that you need to be confident. And like I said, support your wife. That's what you're supposed to do, or support your spouse. That's what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Be confident in whatever the heck you're doing, and don't go into it with this is kind of weird. No, it's a business. This is our business. This is what we sell. We sell Cincy. We sell everything Cincy. And know about it. Be confident about it, and put yourself out there, because if you go into it being like, oh, I'm a guy. It's weird for me to sell Cincy. It's never going to work.
Yeah, you got to
You
be
just got
confident.
full, whatever you do in life, full confidence. And that's when you succeed.
Yeah, 100%. And don't give up. I mean, push through. Direct sales is a roller coaster. Everything's a roller coaster, but direct sales really is. And if you give up when it's hard, you never know what you could be missing. And it's in those low times, whether it be numbers or just the way you're feeling, let's be real, or whether it be how much your spouse is or isn't supporting you. It's in those low times that you learn and that you grow. It's not on the mountaintops when everything is sunshine and rainbows that you learn and grow. That's when you rest, to be honest. But in those low times, don't give up, push through, and you're going to succeed even higher the next time one of those mountains come. But you just can't give up when things get hard. That's not the way life works. It's definitely not the way business works.
Well,
yes. Oh my gosh. The learning is in the digging, right? Digging deep and figuring it out. That is such a good. Oh, that's so good. I love that. It gave me chills. Wow. So good.
Well,
thank you guys so much. Yay for joining us today. I appreciate you.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Did you want to say something else? Oh, did you want to say something else, Clint?
Well, oh yeah. Where was I going? Oh, just looking back over how many years you've been selling Cincy?
Almost 12.
12 years. If I've been dragging my feet for 12 years, I'd be missing out on all the freedom that we've gained, all the vacations and memories, and all of our friends that we've made.
Oh, so many friends.
So many friends. So many great things that I'd be missing out on just because I couldn't be confident in what she's done.
We're living a full life. Like, we're living our best life because he is just he's the kind of guy to throw himself into it after we had that fight. And there's been other things along the way. Like, it hasn't been perfect all of the other times, but he is the kind of guy that is like, okay, well, you know what? Let's give it our best and let's see what happens. And my goodness, this is now my full-time job. We've earned 13 incentive trips. Like, we've traveled as far as Africa, for crying out loud. And like, none of that would have happened if we would have been like, yeah, you're right. This is too much. Let's throw in the towel and I'll just teach. No way. Like, no way.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
That is so awesome. Good stuff. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much. Okay. I appreciate you taking the time with me today. You guys are truly a blessing and just a special couple. And I love you guys so much. Okay.
We feel the same about